The New York Times looked at it and they said, okay, we made a mistake. So they adjusted it to say this, assailing hate, but not guns. And Dean Baquet, the executive editor, said to Politico, the fact that Beto O'Rourke and Cory Booker didn't like it didn't influence me. I don't need the entire political field to tell me we wrote a bad headline. It was evident.
It wasn't evident because it was true. But again, the New York Times doesn't function as a news organization anymore. They function as the marketing wing of the Democrat Party. So does the Washington Post and, frankly, most of the mainstream media. And that's what it is. It's not about reporting what actually happens. It's not about being objective in that. It's about driving forward a political agenda. In their case, obviously, a very leftist political agenda. And it's sick because there is no amount of effort, no amount of statement that my father could give that would ever satisfy them. It has to go that much further. And, I've seen what these things do. I see, what's going on with the Joaquin Castro craziness and putting out a list. I mean, that list sort of screams like the Dayton, Ohio shooters list. Right? When a radical left-wing politician who's polling at about 0% does this for either attention or a call to action, it's pretty scary. I mean, that was the same thing that the Dayton, Ohio shooter did.
This is a list.
And people should be fed up of this nonsense.
This is a list of 44 people from San Antonio who contributed. The original
to the president.
Castro, the original quote was this. This is from Joaquin Castro. He tweeted this.
He said, sad to see so many San Antonians as 2019 maximum donors to Donald Trump, the owner of blah, 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 the owner of blah, 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 the realtor, etc. Their contributions are fueling a campaign of hate that labels Hispanic immigrants as invaders. So he's not necessarily saying go and do something dangerous to these people.
It's
completely different than that.
Perhaps not to reasonable people, but when the fringe crazies on both sides, and we saw that in the last week, right? You had fringe crazies on all sides. They see that. Man, now you're going after ordinary citizens, people who just are taking part in a political process. Honestly, imagine I did that. Imagine I put a list of Joaquin Castro's donors. Now, our people don't weaponize. Good point. Yeah. Our people don't weaponize the political system, the same way. We don't do the organized boycotts that the left does and these kind of things. But publishing these their place of work, trying to maybe their bosses see it, maybe their bosses have a different. They're literally trying to punish these individuals. They see that also because they're scared of what we've been able to do. They see that we're raising a lot of money because people are excited about what's going on. They see the economy. They see the numbers. They actually see progress for the American worker for the first time in decades. And that scares the hell out of the Democrats.
The one thing that's been noticed is that for the first time, a president's been blamed. His words have been blamed for the shootings that took place.
Yeah. They don't blame Elizabeth Warren for the Dayton, Ohio shooter. They don't blame Bernie Sanders for the congressional, and they shouldn't.
Right, they shouldn't.
But if it's Trump, obviously it's him. The double standard is insane, guys. I mean, I've been pretty vocal about this for quite some time. But when you take that double standard, when you take sort of the filter that the mainstream media uses to get messaging out, then you add in the influence of social media and big tech to try to change a message, to try to do damage to one side and not the other. It's a scary place that we live.
When you say big tech, are you talking about Google? Because
I'm talking about all of them. And I've been, saying this. I've been hit, by Instagram and these guys for, just asking questions. I mean, I've seen, they've weaponized that against me. If they can do it to me, if they can do it to the president of the United States, what can't they do to regular citizens? It's a scary place that we're in.
Your dad's a hunter. Your dad's a golfer. You're more of a hunter.
Yeah.
You're a pro-gun guy. You do it for sport.
I do.
You're concerned, even with Lindsey Graham coming out with this red flag law proposal that he was, Blumenthal is supporting as well. And now you have John Thune seems to be doing that. What is your greatest concern?
Well, listen, I haven't seen what they've put out, so I don't know. What I've seen in the past as it relates to red flag laws is sort of the total lack of due process, right? Someone can randomly call. My neighbor may not like me, right? He can call, say that, I fear for my life, I fear for him, he's a danger to himself. Someone comes over, confiscates your stuff, you spend 5 years and tens of thousands of dollars trying to get justice. You know what? I can maybe weather that storm. I don't think the average American can. And that's a scary process. I mean, I think there would need to be rapid, free due process because, again, I'm not worried about it in this administration, but in a future, potentially more leftist administration, I could see them weaponizing this. And trust me, when you've been through what I've been through for the last 2.5 years, you have to be pretty cynical about big government, their ability to weaponize a narrative as they did with Russia for 2.5 years. So, no one wants crazy people to be able to get guns. No one wants dangerous people to be able to get guns. But that doesn't mean you can just allow someone to abjectly weaponize the system against people who don't fit any of those things.
Right.
And again, create an environment where, in the end, after years and after tens of thousands of dollars that most of them can't spend, you maybe get it back. That's not right either, in my opinion.
So it was great to see you, Don.
And just to reiterate, the hit list from the guy from Dayton was a kill list. The Castro list was a list of donors.
Yeah.
Correct. But I think the fact that we're making lists of our political enemies and trying to create that narrative is scary. And again, if someone on our campaign did that,
We're going to get cut off,
it would be
Don.
rough.
Thank you
Thanks
so much for being here.
Great to see you.
We'll be right back.
Most people think a button is just a button.